Nolan, thanks for helping out today. We scheduled this session to run for no more than 60 minutes. Before we start, I'll just explain the setup and how the session works. My name is Connor, and I'm responsible for conducting some customer research for a hotel booking website, and we're trying to identify issues that could be fixed to make the website easier to use. To do that, we're talking to people like you, and based on your feedback, we're hoping to pinpoint areas for improvement. So let me just explain the setup. I'll be asking questions and talking to you through a few tests. We'll record a session for note-taking purposes, but the footage will not be seen by anyone outside the team. Now, the session itself is divided into two parts. First, we'll ask you some general questions about your experience with booking hotel accommodation, and then I'll ask you to perform a few tasks on 2 hotel booking websites, and I'll be asking some questions as you go.
Great.
Now, a few things to keep in mind before we start. These will help the test to run a bit smoother. First, the session is called a usability test, but it's important to know that we're not testing you, we're testing the website. There are no right or wrong answers, and we're not trying to catch you out in any way.
Okay, no problem.
If you do come across problems, please understand that it's not your fault, it's the software's fault. And in fact, the more problems you find, the better we can fix them. So secondly, please be as candid as possible. If you don't like something or think it's just plain silly, please say so. You won't hurt my feelings. I haven't been involved in the design of any of these screens.
Okay.
Third, as you navigate around the website, whatever's going through your head, please verbalize it. So for example, if you're about to click on a button, say, I'm going to click here because I think it's going to take me to the next page. Or I'm looking around the screen for the price. Basically, we want you to think aloud because it helps us to write better notes.
Okay.
And if you could approach things slightly slower than you normally would, that would be really helpful. If you work your way around the site too fast, we might not be able to take notes quick enough. I'll remind you to think aloud and to slow down throughout the session as needed. Finally, please feel free to ask any questions you like. It's a great way for us to understand your thoughts. But in order to keep the test as realistic as possible, I may not always answer your questions, okay?
Okay.
Thanks for understanding. Now, do you have any questions yourself before we begin, Nolene?
No, not one.
Perfect. Okay, so before we start looking at the website, I'd like you to just answer a few simple background questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell me your occupation, please?
I'm an administration manager.
Okay, and where do you live?
I live in Selbridge in Kildare.
Okay, very good. And how do you typically access the internet? At home, at work?
Both. I do a bit of browsing or whatever in the evenings maybe. But to be quite honest with you, a lot of the time at my lunch break or whatever, I'd be flicking through if I was looking up something. So a lot of the time it is at work.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And is it on a laptop or a computer or a PC? PC, okay. Do you access the internet on your phone at all?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Okay. What websites do you typically, what are your most common websites that you visit?
Do you mean hotel related or for everything?
Just in general.
In general, the breaking news, I go into that, adverts, bit of Amazon. I'm always on Amazon. And then Living Social, the different deal pages, their websites. I won't go into them regularly.
Okay, very good. Now, thinking about your use of hotel booking websites, can you tell me what your typical reasons were for booking hotels in the not so distant past?
We would, Kevin is my husband, Kevin and I, we would go to hotels a good bit.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not really pub goers. We would treat ourselves, definitely every month we'd go somewhere for a night or two. We've always done that. And that's sort of where we'd spend our money. Just before lockdown, we had a lovely night away in Fake. We'd do that and book a night and somewhere with a nice restaurant and stay the night. We do that rather than go out, we'll say, to a pub more regularly. So we would normally access, I'd always check the Hotel Zone website, but I would also use Booking.com, TripAdvisor. I've sort of in recent times gone off the likes of the Living Social deals. Sometimes they're good, but I think a lot of the times you get an inferior service when you're there.
Really? Why is that, do you think?
We'll say, for example, you book, and I've booked loads of them. We'll say it's a dinner, or look at the last example I could tell you. I booked on taste.ie. It wasn't a hotel stay, but it was a dinner in Faith Street Social, and it was like €75, I think it was. It wasn't really cheap now or anything, but when we got there, the menu was ridiculous. It wasn't. It was like 3 choices, and they weren't even good varied choices. They weren't. You really felt like the pauper at the back door, and I said, never again would I go there again. You know, you didn't experience the nice food. I would rather, okay, you're on a voucher, it's reduced price, but give people the option, have a proper menu, and let them pay a subsidy if they want to have the proper food. And the same with a hotel, even if it is cheaper. I have done some of the stays, and we say when you go into the hotel, the last time we did one on Living Social, it was down to the Sleeve Russell, and okay, it's an older hotel, the rooms aren't brand new, but you had no robe, you had no slippers, all them little things.
Sure.
You know, so that's why I sort of stopped using the Living Social. I'd always check and see is there a difference in price in the Booking.com or TripAdvisor. And there's another one I use as well, it'll come to me. But I'd always ring the hotel directly and ask them, can they match that price?
Okay, and do you have any preferred websites of those websites that you mentioned, apart from the hotel website itself? Which is your preference on the other booking websites?
Booking.com I do use. And I'd always look up TripAdvisor for the reviews. And even when we go to somewhere, I'd always leave a review on TripAdvisor. Okay,
yeah, very good. Can you describe the last time you booked hotel accommodation?
The last time I booked it was directly with the hotel. Does that count?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, that was with Faith. Like, it was actually the night before we went. It was about a week before lockdown when I booked it, and we went the night before lockdown. Very easy website to use, very clear. You could put your add-ons on it, which I liked. And what else was there? No, I like it, and I have used it before. My last one to use, actually, I tried to book one today, Burtown House, for when lockdown's over, and it was a terrible website to use, very old, very clunky. I like when you go in, put in your date, it'll give you the options. When it shows the room options on the one page, so you can see what's the difference in price in your superior room or your deluxe room. You can work out if it's worth it. And I also like the option where you can pay for breakfast separately if you want, all that sort of thing. I like that.
Sure. And when you're thinking back to the Faith Leg booking, how did you decide to choose Faith Leg? Was it in your head, or were you browsing?
I go there once a
week. Okay, very good. And what was your most important criteria choosing? Is this tradition at this stage, or?
No. What? Yeah. Well, you're assured it's going to be a nice stay, basically. Sure. There's other places we go a good bit as well, but I've never been let down there, so I always like to go back there. That's really it. You know, there's not any major. There's no reason why. We went to Lyrath about a month beforehand. No, about 3 weeks beforehand. It was easy to book as well, very easy. And it was you could book the extras. Yes, on Lyrath you could pick. They had the different specials. You know, you could book. It was the weekend stay, or you could have your spa stay and all that. So it was nice and easy to book.
Can I ask, hotels like Faith